Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we have a battle of the mini multi-tools. This is the first and probably only installment of something like this. I'm not really big into multi-tools because I just don't really have a big enough reason to carry one until a viewer by the name of Trevor, thanks a lot for this recommendation, man. He shot me a recommendation and said, hey, you know what? We need to take a look at mini multi-tools because they're a lot more EDC friendly, and he recommended these two. And after he recommended these two, I did look into other ones, but I thought between what was offered, the size, and the price, I think these really were the two best to pair together. And what we have here is the Leatherman Squirt PS4 and the Gerber Dime. Now, I gotta say, these are both made in China, so there's no type of USA versus Chinese manufacturing going on here, but they're just incredibly small. I'll be honest with you guys, I am so out of touch with the multi-tool world. I didn't even know anything like these two were really around because I've never even looked into them. And this is a prime example of why the viewers know best, because this really got me into these mini multi-tools. I gotta say, I really do like both of them, but comparing them, breaking them down, there was one that stuck out to me more than the other one. Now let's recap how this is going to go. This is going to be very similar to Battle of the Blades, only we added some more categories, and the point system is going to stay the same too. We're going to go 1 through 5 for each category, 1 being trash, 5 being great, and our categories are blade, ergos, pliers, scissors, quality, carry, aesthetics, value, and then additional features, because as you guys all know, anyone that's familiar with either one of these, there is a lot of little tools on here, and some of them have features that the other one doesn't have, which is going to play a big factor into this as well. So now with that being said, let's get right into this. Let's get this going, and let's see who prevails. So we're going to start off with the Leatherman Squirt. And we are going to start off with the blade. Now, the blade of this Leatherman Squirt, I've got to say, is pretty darn impressive for what it is. And keep into context, guys, all the points that I'm giving out to this, I'm not comparing these points, excuse me, I'm not comparing these points to any type of knife, because the knives are just so different. It's really hard to compare the ergos of something like this to the ergos of a knife. So we're just not going to go there. This is going to be completely separate points based of just how these two stack up to each other. So I may sound a little generous with some of these points, but also keep in mind, I'm probably never going to do another Battle of the Mini Multi-Tools again. So this is kind of a one-off thing. So the blade on this guy, first of all, I think the blade looks great. I like the simple little profile. It has somewhat of, I don't think I want to say a chisel grind, because this side is technically not flat, but there's only one real edge on this side, which is fine. And I tell you what, when I was testing this, let me get a piece of paper right here, and I was really impressed at how well this cut. Well, of course, now it doesn't, but look at that. I mean, it cuts really, really well. For what you would need to use this for, completely adequate enough. I mean, you can't do any like real push cuts because it's not that slicey, but you can slice through pretty darn good with this thing. So this is a nice blade. I was really surprised with this blade here. And of course, I also just like the looks of it. It doesn't specify what type of steel it is, so I'm assuming it's obviously a very, very budget-minded steel. Probably maybe just a regular stainless steel that they don't specify. But it's nothing super special. But that edge is pretty good out of the box. And of course, this if it's a cheap budget steel, it's got to be really easy to resharpen or strop or whatever. So not too worried about that. So very nice blade on this Leatherman Squirt PS4 here, and we're gonna give it a 5 because I was very impressed with it. Now the blade on the Gerber Dime. Let's pull it out and take a look at it. because this one, it's a different profile too. It's more of that sheep's footy style of blade, which I'm fine with, but you don't have quite the sliciness with this guy. It gets caught. It gets caught about right, let's see, you can almost kind of see it too, right there. See where those little notches are right there? It tends to get caught there. This one back here isn't quite as bad, but it definitely gets caught up there. And again, this is something to where you could, let's see, get focused. It was rounded. Yeah, it keeps getting caught there. So the blade on this is not super impressive. But again, when we get to the price of this, I will tell you why I'm not super upset about that. And the fact that I can easily sharpen this in no time, and it'll be just as sharp as the Leatherman. But considering this is out of the box testing, I am going to give this a 3.5 on the blade because I like the way it looks, but I don't, the profile of it is nice, but it just doesn't have quite the edge. So we're going to go 3.5 on the blade. Now the Ergos. For the Ergos, there was a couple things I took into mind. There was two main things that I really factored in for the Ergos of this knife. How does it feel when I have the blade open? And this, in all honesty, guys, they really both feel fine when it comes to the knife because they're pretty much the exact same size, as you can see right here, as far as length, width, all that good stuff. So they both feel very similar. The one thing with the Dime is it has this bottle opener down here, and it kind of gives you an extra thing to wrap your ring finger around, but I can also see that being a hot spot. But at the same time, you're not going to be cutting real hard with this, so it's really kind of doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter that much, and this feels fine as well. So I use the Ergos with the blade, and then I also use the Ergos with the pliers, because the pliers are probably one of the most important tools on a mini tool like this, mini multi-tool. And that was what I really based them off of, was how do they feel in hand with the blade and with the pliers. And with the pliers, I noticed it was kind of nice to have this bottle opener up here. It kind of helped you brace a little more on your hands. But then this thing down here, the little clip for a keychain ring, that's kind of a hot spot. That's kind of annoying to where I could do this and that would be all right. But then I'm still feeling this down here. Not the end of the world. It's still plenty, you know, I don't think it's going to bother me too much. But on the Leatherman Squirt, it's really smooth everywhere. They have a keychain ring that was by the blade. Let me find it. We got lost using this thing right here. But see, that one you could move down in by the blade and kind of hide it. So that went away, and you have just a much smoother feel when in hand. So for Ergos, I'm going to give the Leatherman Squirt 4.5. And the Ergos on the Gerber still really are not that bad. I'm still going to go 4 because there's nothing that really bothered me. But I just felt that the Ergos on the Squirt were definitely better. So there had to be a differential there in scoring. So 4.5 for the Leatherman and 4 for the Gerber. Now the pliers on both of these are pretty darn impressive. I gotta say, I know you can't go do any real super hardcore work with either one, but they both feel pretty solid. I like the way the Leatherman is set up a little more. Like I said, the grip is better, and then there's also a little stabilizing feature. First of all, on the Gerber, it's completely nonstop the whole way through. There is a spring in there, so if you let it go, it just they open back up. So the spring is nice. It kind of helps you stabilize as you're going in. Like, I don't know if you're under a car, or if you're doing something and you're trying to be real careful. That spring kind of helps you stabilize the grip of the pliers in your hand. But then this Leatherman has like multiple stabilizing features. So first it has a spring, but then it has these little things right in here on both sides to where you press up to this point. Let's see here. First you got to, open it up. And so you have kind of like dual stabilizing features. You have one that goes from here to here, and that kind of is its own little amount of pressure. And then from right here to here, there's even more pressure. So if you really want to get up and get close and kind of move your pliers in closer, you have more resistance as you get closer to the actual closing down and biting in on something. So that really does, I think, especially if you're in a cramped position or something to where you really have to be careful and a little more careful, then these really do come in handy. I like these a little better between the Ergos and the extra stabilization, and the fact that you just have more of a longer amount of grip on these ones as compared to the Gerber. Sometimes if you're trying to grip something and pull it, just a little amount up there will tear it or pull on it and cause a tear to where you can't quite yank it out. As to where with this, you're able to grab more surface. So sometimes that does help give a little more pull power when you have more of a surface bite as compared to, really half of those two. I mean, oh no, God, even three times more grip length, I guess is the best way to put it. So I do slightly prefer the pliers on the Leatherman. I'm going to go for a full 5 on the Leatherman pliers. I was really impressed with these, and I was also impressed with the Gerber, but we're going to go 4 because I do think there are some extra added benefits to the pliers on the Leatherman. Now, scissors. Scissors were another one. I thought, I kind of figured the Leatherman scissors would be pretty good, just because I know Leatherman is the cream of the crop when you get to multi-tools like this, and I was right. I gotta say, they were as good as I thought they'd be. But the scissors on the Gerber, they're not really. They're not that far behind. There's one big difference, and I'm going to show you guys that right now. Excuse me for tapping the camera there. Get another piece of paper, and let's see here. So watch this as I cut with, and I'm holding both scissors like this because that's what's most comfortable for me. As you cut through this here, it cuts very, very well, very clean, very sharp. And did you see as the paper was being cut, it was being fed down, and it was going out of the way of my hand here. And as you can see, that's kind of how they're designed. So the paper's going to follow through and follow down there because the actual part that moves is on the left side. But now, when you look at the Gerber scissors, see the part that moves, how it's on the right side? Watch what that does. You're going to cut, because these cut really well too. First you have to get through, they get stuck up right there. And then it feeds the paper up into my hand. And in this case, it is going over my hand, guys. But as you can see there, it still cuts pretty clean. But what it's doing is it pushes the paper up and kind of in my sight. And sometimes it'll get stuck up on my hand. And I'm not really a big fan of that. So what I'm getting at here is the way that these scissors were both put together are very similar, but also very different. And I do like the way the Leatherman works much better, in my opinion. As you can see, I will do it again and get something started here. And it just goes right out. Yeah, sometimes it does. But it pushes it. It makes them easier to use. Bottom line, it really does make them easier to use. And I do feel like the scissors on the Leatherman cut through just a little better. I mean, not that much. For me, the big difference really is the way they're assembled, with the moving side being on the left as compared to the moving side being on the right of this one. And another thing is the placement of the scissors. So as you can see here, the placement, when I go to push down, my thumb, and this is again just me, maybe you guys don't have that problem, but my thumb pushes straight down, but it may push a little off to the right sometimes. And there's nothing on the right side to hit this arm. It comes all the way down and it's clean. And now on these ones, since they're on the other side, there's something there. And when I come down sometimes, it gets caught right there. See that? You can hear it. It gets caught. So these scissors are slightly more flimsy. The scissors on the Leatherman are slightly more sturdy. They both cut well enough for as much as you're going to use them, but you do have higher quality scissors on the Leatherman, and for that, I'm going to give the scissors on the Leatherman a 5 and the scissors on the Gerber a 3.5, because while they are a little flimsy, while they are constructed a little differently that I don't think is as good as the Leatherman, they do still cut, and they do still get the job done. So, but there is still a differential there, 5 and 3.5. Now, moving on to quality. Quality, it really, for what we're talking about and what we're using these for, there's not a huge difference in quality. There is a difference. As you can see, there's obviously a difference. The Leatherman is excelling in each category a little. Leatherman has just done this longer. And I think that's what you're seeing here is a difference in experience and time put into a craft. Leatherman has just, they've kind of got this nailed. I don't have any real quality issues with the Leatherman. It feels extremely solid. The actual grip and the feel of the outer, kind of like panels or casing, whatever you want to call that, has a slightly better grip as to where the Gerber is a little more slippery. I probably should put that in Ergos, but quality it'll work in too. Everything is just a little bit better on this Leatherman, and pretty much everything. So there are a couple differences that the Gerber does excel at. You'll hear in just a bit. But I think overall, I'm going to go 5 with the quality of the Leatherman and 4 with the quality of the Gerber. And I'll explain a little more why I went to 4, because there is another category where this is much better in. Aesthetics, in all honesty, when aesthetics comes, I'm talking about aesthetics just like this, and I'm looking at the blade shape. So you pull out the blade and you look at the clean profile of the Leatherman, absolutely better than the Gerber, which kind of has the bottle opener sticking out, which, it's not bad, but and it does work really well. We'll talk a little more about that in a second. But aesthetically, it definitely goes to the Leatherman, just based off, kind of this alone. And when you pull them all out, they all look like, a big hunk of gadgets. So for aesthetics, I'm going to go 5, and I'm still going to go 4.5 because I don't think the Gerber looks bad at all. I just think the Leatherman looks better. So 5 and 4.5. And carry. And now this is another thing where carry, it was very close, but the big difference was the bottle opener. It really was the major difference, because at the end of the day, if the bottle opener wasn't here, these would both be 5s because they both carry extremely well. They're not really that heavy. I mean, if you're wearing basketball shorts, you'll feel a little more weight. But if you're wearing regular pants or jeans or khakis, anything like that, this is no different than having, some change in your pocket. The Leatherman is just very smooth, and there's no part of this that would poke you or gouge you or anything. It just sits in your pocket at the bottom, and it's there for you when you need it. Now, the Gerber, the big problem is, again, this bottle opener, because there are some times as you're moving around, especially if you have a little more baggier pants, it can go sideways, and this bottle opener can just kind of poke into your thigh. And obviously where this is riding in your pants, I'm assuming we're not all pure muscle in the leg, so it kind of gouge into, kind of the softer, more sensitive area of your leg, and you feel it. So that's not great. That's not great, but it just kind of is what it is. So for carry, I'm going to go 5 on the Leatherman and 4 on the Gerber Dime. Now, value. Value is where the Gerber does pull ahead for me, and let me explain myself. We have a price of $20.95 for the Gerber Dime and $39.99 for the Leatherman Squirt. Now, in all honesty, after using both of these pretty extensively and running them through a lot of tests and carrying them, I dropped the Gerber here once. It's got a little ding on there, but it held up just fine. Didn't affect any part of the tools or anything whatsoever. They're both really good values. You're just getting a little more quality and a little more of that long-term experience in a Leatherman, which is why I think it does stand out. But for $20.95, you really can't go wrong with the Gerber Dime, especially if you're opening a lot of bottles, because it's right there. But I really do like the Gerber Dime. It's if you're doing the math as you're following along, it's no surprise that the Dime is going to lose this battle. But for $20.95, this is a fantastic little deal and offering. It really is nice. The value, I'm going to go a full 5 on the Gerber Dime, because it really is a great little value. I don't think they're cheap. I don't think they're going to break down on you anytime. For $20.95, I think you have a very, very nice little versatile multi-tool. It's going to last a pretty long time. And now the Leatherman for $39.99. Again, you are paying for the name with this. Make no mistake about it. You are paying for that name right there. And for good reason. They've been around forever. They know what they're doing. And you have those little things that Leatherman has just kind of perfected over the years that they've been doing this. And so that's kind of where that $39.99 comes from. If this was a Gerber Squirt, this may be $29.95 as well. But it's not. It's $39.99. So we're going to go 4. We're going to go 4 on the value because I think the value is still good, but I think comparing it to the Gerber Dime, it's definitely not as good. I think you get a little more value in the Gerber Dime, especially for what this is. If you were talking a full-size multi-tool, that'd be a different story, but we're not. So 5 and 4. Now, additional features. The Gerber Dime is going to close out this battle with back-to-back advantages because the additional features on the Gerber Dime I really, really like. While we're doing this, we're going to kind of pull out all the tools to get a look at just what is on them. And as you can see, a lot of them are similar, but the dime does have... What is going on here? Oh, wrong way. The dime has the scissors, and it has... Ooh, I broke a nail. Let's see here. It has a file, which I'll talk about that file here in a bit because the file is nothing really fantastic. You have kind of I'm assuming this is a flathead screwdriver. It could also be some type of a mini pry bar or scraper, but I think for most purposes that's probably considered a flathead. And then you also have this thing here. And let's see, let me pull this out. We'll just get everything out here right now. I like how they did this because they have both of the sharp sides, both of the sharp objects on one side. So you have the blade, and then you also have a dedicated box and package opener, which I really like that because it'll help save your blade. So you can save your blade for more real cutting tasks. And then you have this little cutting tool right here that is perfect to open up boxes or even letters with, but especially boxes. How many times do you get a box or a package and you just need to skim along the top? This is really perfect for that. I mean, granted, you have to pull it out of your pocket. It's not as easy to access as a knife. You probably use a knife, but, maybe, I don't know, maybe you're carrying a Safe Queen that day and you want to just use this. Who knows? But I like that is there. I think that's a really, really good idea. And it's something, again, it's easy to sharpen. And it'll last forever if you're just opening packages with tape and cutting through paper. So really, really like what they did there with that. I thought that was pretty slick. So you have a lot of versatile tools. And then another thing you have on this that the Leatherman does not have that I think is really important, and to be totally honest, I think this should have those. You have tweezers. And I'll tell you what, if you ever get a bad splinter or something that's lodged into your skin, you have tweezers and you just use them once for that, and they just paid themselves off because I don't know about you guys, but I freaking hate splinters. And anytime you have something like this that can get in and pull out a splinter or anything that is stuck in your hand or any part of your body, that's really, really nice to have. So I thought that was a great addition, and I'm really surprised that the Squirt doesn't have that. I looked all over the place, all over it for it, because I thought for sure, I was like, no, I'm missing them. They gotta be in there somewhere. But they were not. No tweezers on the Squirt. So that's a huge advantage right there. And then lastly, I do really like this bottle opener, even though it can poke you in the leg a little. That may not be the case for everybody. And it is a really nice bottle opener. It's very strong, very durable. It works a lot better than the bottle opener on the Leatherman, which I will show you in a second. But the only drawback with it is it'll poke you a little more from time to time, maybe, and it provides a little hot spot for the Ergos when you're using it for other things. But I still like that. Again, I think for $20.95, you're getting a really, really good bundle with this. And the additional features that the Leatherman doesn't have make this a pretty good deal. So I'm going to go full 5 on the additional features of the Gerber Dime. Now, when you get to the Leatherman, the additional features isn't so much what they have that the Gerber doesn't have. It's what they have that are a lot better than the Gerber. And that starts with the file here. As you can see, that file, you know, let me just close these because I don't really need to show you the pliers anymore. I don't know why I even did that. The file on this is a lot better. It's much more of a coarse, it's more of a true file. It's going to work better for anything you do, and it's a lot longer. The file on this thing was really so small, they should almost consider just getting rid of it. It's just not very useful. Really, this is better off to use on a Phillips head, because this is also a Phillips head driver. So that's probably, you'll get more benefit out of using the Phillips head than you would the file. But then also too, when you get this up, you kind of, depending what you're driving in and where, you lose a little depth with the bottle opener there. So this whole area is a little, I don't know, it's a little cluttered. But yeah, your Phillips head in this file is really, I mean, yes, it works, but it's so short, it's just not, it's not the best thing in the world. But this file is very, very nice. And it's something that you could use on your fingernails, and you could even use it on something else, because you just have more room to play with. So do like the file a lot more. And the Phillips head driver, I also like more on this, because there's just nothing in the way, and you have a little more reach with it, which I believe is this. Nope, that's the bottle opener. And we'll pull this one out real quick too. Let's take a look at that. I just like this better. You don't have the arc of the bottle opener coming up, getting in the way. So I can definitely see this being a little more useful. And I do feel like the build of the Leatherman overall is just a hair, just a hair more durable than the Gerber. But again, you're paying twice as much, so it really should be. But no, the bottle opener on this works fine. It's just such a small little tip there. I wonder if over time that won't wear off and not work. I'm not sure. I may be wrong in saying that, but it's not nearly as robust as the bottle opener on the Gerber. And I do like that, because I enjoy my adult beverages. But you also have your flat head right here and your Phillips head. So I just like the way everything is laid out better on the Squirt. And it just makes for a much more sleeker, compact package. But I'm still only going to give the additional features on the Leatherman a 4, because I do think the additional features and what the Gerber Dime has that the Leatherman doesn't have do stand out a little more to me. So 5 to 4 in this category, and that gives us a final score of 42 to 37.5, with the winner being the Leatherman Squirt. Now, I gotta say, the Leatherman Squirt is, in my opinion, definitely a better mini multi-tool than the Gerber Dime. But I'm also going to throw this out there. For $20.95, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better one comparing prices. The Gerber Dime really did surprise me. I've never been a huge Gerber fan in general, but I really do enjoy this, and I'm going to carry both of these. I am absolutely going to carry both of these, because I really did enjoy using both of them. And the Leatherman Squirt, it is just slightly better. It really is. I like the way it feels better. I like the solidity of it a little more. And I really do like that blade. This is a great little secondary blade if you ever wanted to carry one to just do any small cutting tasks. Really no real blade play at all. Nice and solid. Of course, it's slip joint style, but it has some pretty good resistance too. Overall, though, I'm going to go Leatherman Squirt. This one wasn't really that close, but again, it's one of those things to where I don't think you can go wrong. If you want a budget style, go Gerber Dime. If you want something that is a little better and I think a little more well thought out, go with the Leatherman Squirt. But either way, this was a really interesting battle, and it has opened my eyes to the world of mini multi-tools more. I do enjoy these, and especially in the fall, and if you're ever wearing just regular pants, either one of these would really work good in the pocket. So let me know what you guys think. Do you have experience with mini multi-tools? I hope you guys found this useful. I really enjoyed doing it. It was a lot trickier than I thought it was when I started writing this up. There was so much more to think and do. I hope I laid it out well enough. Let me know, just in case I ever do decide to do something like this again. Let me know what you think could be done better. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.